All right, let's talk about one of the most stressful parts of being a developer, the job interview. I mean, it can be pretty nerve-wracking, right? But what if it didn't have to be? Today, we're going to demystify the whole process and give you a solid playbook for success, especially if you're a Flutter developer. So, let me start with a big question. What do you think is the number one reason a really talented developer walks out of an interview without a job offer? It's probably not what you think. And honestly, getting this one thing right can completely flip the script on your next interview. So, we're going to tackle this from a slightly different angle. Instead of just giving you a laundry list of things you should do, we're going to reverse engineer failure. You know, by figuring out where most people trip up, we can build a strategy that's pretty much bulletproof. And that brings us to what I call the rejection paradox. It's a paradox because a lot of the time it's not the weakest developers who get rejected. It's genuinely good, skilled developers who just happen to miss a few key things during the interview. So what are those key things? Well, if you take plain bad luck out of the equation, most rejections really boil down to just three core reasons. Let's break them down. First up, being unprepared. This one's the most straightforward. You just didn't do your homework. Second, being unqualified. Now, this isn't just about your code. It could also mean your soft skills or your general approach aren't quite what they're looking for. And third, and this is the one people really sleep on, is being mismatched. This quote just nails that third point. Think about it. You could be the most amazing developer on the planet, but if your work style and your values don't vibe with the company's culture, it's just not going to work out. An interview is a two-way street, you know? They have to be the right fit for you, too. Okay, so we've looked at the problems. Now let's talk about the solution. The most powerful tool you have in this whole process is your preparation, because it's the one thing that is 100% in your control. The trick is to think about prep on two different timelines. First, you've got the long game, the foundational stuff you build up over months, even years. Then you've got the short-term prep, the focused, strategic work you do in the last few days right before the interview. So the long game is all about building that solid foundation. I'm talking about really mastering Dart and OOP, obviously, but also things like data structures and algorithms. You know, think of those as your toolbox. The more tools you have, the more problems you can tackle later on. And building lots of projects, that's how you really make those concepts stick. Then, in those last few days, it's sprint time. This is when you get really specific. You need to research the company, find common ground. Maybe they work on smart home tech and you built a side project for that. Boom. That's your golden ticket for a great conversation. And please, practice answering questions out loud. It feels weird at first, but it builds so much confidence. All right, you've done the prep work. You're ready. Now it's game day. Let's talk about how to absolutely nail the interview itself. The secret here is to just connect with them like a normal human being. Be authentic. Don't try to be someone you're not. Because if you get hired based on a fake persona, you're going to be miserable. Be honest about what you know and what you don't. And seriously, be detailed. Don't give one-word answers. Your job is to turn their question into a real conversation. Now, I'm about to give you one of the most powerful communication tools you can have in an interview. It's called the STAR method. Anytime an interviewer says, "So tell me about a time when," this is your secret weapon for giving a killer answer. Let's run through a quick example. So, the situation was that the app was riddled with bugs. Your task was to find a better way to track them. The action you took was to research and integrate a new analytics tool. And the result? Bugs were being found 90% faster. See? That's the story. It's a complete narrative that doesn't just say what you did, it proves the impact you had. So you crushed the interview. You feel great. You can finally relax, right? Well, not quite. What you do after the interview can be just as important. 3 simple things. First, always send a polite follow-up email. It's just professional. Second, if you don't get the job, don't be afraid to ask for feedback. Every no can be a lesson for the next yes. And finally, take a moment for yourself. Do a quick self-reflection. What went well? What could you do even better next time? Okay, let's switch gears and get into the nitty-gritty, the hard skills. What does a company actually expect a Flutter developer to know? Well, let's break it down by experience level. You can really see the journey here, right? As a junior, you're focused on the fundamentals, writing clean Dart code, using Git. As you grow into a mid-level role, you start thinking bigger about things like architecture and basic testing.
And by the time you're a senior, you're a leader. You're tackling huge system design problems, driving advanced testing strategies like TDD, and owning the whole deployment pipeline with CI/CD.
So, if there's one thing you walk away with today, let it be this. A successful interview isn't won by cramming the night before. It's the direct result of the small, consistent efforts you make every single day. The work you're doing right now is literally building the bridge to your next great job. So that leaves me with one final question for you. Don't just let this be another thing you watched. What is the one specific thing you're going to do this week to prepare for your future? Decide on it. Go do it. The best time to start building that bridge was yesterday. The second best time